What's up, YouTubers? So before we get started with this video, on Get Up, they're going to be talking about, will Aaron Rodgers be able to finish his career with the Green Bay Packers? So let's see what they have to say about that.
He uses the word wanted. That is the past tense of the word want. So that's really there's no uncertainty in that, right? That's Aaron Rodgers basically saying, I know that I am no longer going to play my entire career in Green Bay.
Which is absolutely ridiculous.
Without a doubt. Look, and he's been through this before. He's been on the other side of it. He's been the one who's been replacing a legend. So I think what he offered you there was a window into, his innermost thoughts, into the competitive makeup of one of the greatest quarterbacks to play in the NFL ever. And he is kind of showing you that, hey, look, despite everything that I have accomplished and everything that I want, I also understand that the business of the NFL doesn't wait for anyone and doesn't cater to anyone's personal feelings or desires or wants. People will move on from you in a heartbeat when it makes
zero loyalty
sense from a business perspective. And that's what he sees being the writing on the wall for his career in Green Bay. It's interesting to hear him talk about, his time in Green Bay as being one where, he grew up there. Because a lot of times, you hear about players talk about those kind of things when they're in college and they have that same kind of connection to their alma mater about how they grew up as an 18, 19, 20-year-old. He's talking about being in Green Bay, Wisconsin as kind of like the same thing that you go through when you're going through college, which I think is really cool, especially for someone as good as him. But he understands that his time in Green Bay is going to be directly proportionate to the development of Jordan Love and how quickly he comes along. And then whether or not it just makes sense for them salary cap-wise to move on, and it's something that they can live with. And that's a very humbling type of thing, I'm sure, for someone as great as him to say, they're moving on from me. I'm the great Aaron Rodgers, and they're moving on from me. I mean, it kind of lends some real personal, kind of characteristics to this game that oftentimes we dismiss as being, something that's non-existent, and it is existent. These guys really do take this game personal.
No question. Jeff, I'm trying to...
Yeah, so I'm going to have to go back and see. I think Aaron Rodgers was a rookie in 2005. So I'm going to have to go back and see when he replaced Brett Favre. If Brett Favre was coming off a year where he went 13-3 and made it to the NFC Championship game. Because that's exactly what happened last year with Aaron Rodgers. It's not like he went 3-13. He went 13-3 last year, was knocking on the door of a Super Bowl until he bumped into that 49er defense, and those boys weren't having it. So I don't understand why this whole hoopla about getting rid of Aaron Rodgers and he won't be here for very long or what. I just don't get it. So let's continue.
Read the look on your face. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't believe Aaron. I'm not calling him a liar, but I don't think he believes that he's done. I think in his head, and look, I shouldn't be jumping into someone else's thoughts here, but to me, Aaron Rodgers is not the one to simply resign his job to a guy who is yet to even step on an NFL football field. How many times have we seen a first-round pick at quarterback not develop into, let alone a starter, the replacement for one of the legends of the game? So while Aaron is saying that, I think that there is a psychological factor here also with him basically saying, oh, really? He's your guy? Let's see him prove it. And Aaron is the type of guy who plays those kinds of head games. And I'm not so sure that he's not doing that right here.
I like that take.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is probably playing all types of games. But so let's take a quick look at Aaron Rodgers' stats for last year. So Aaron Rodgers threw for 4,002 yards. That's 11th overall for quarterbacks. He threw 26 touchdowns. That's 8th overall for quarterbacks. He threw 4 interceptions last year. That's 1st overall for quarterbacks. He was number 1 with the least amount of interceptions in the NFL. And his QBR was 50.4, and that's 20th overall for in the league. So I don't understand why those type of numbers. I'll be happy to have those type of numbers and not even think about getting rid of a quarterback with those type of numbers. And they made it to the NFC Championship game. It just isn't making any sense. Now, maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago, you might want to talk about getting rid of Aaron Rodgers because he missed the playoffs 2 years in a row. But last year, he completely redeemed himself and showed that he still has it. And if you want to go to talk about age, so what? Aaron Rodgers is like, 37? Right now, something like that. Compared to Tom Brady's timeline, he might have a good 8 years left. So, I mean, it just doesn't make sense that they're talking about getting rid of Aaron Rodgers at this point in time.
Meanwhile, Tim, what do you expect from Rodgers on the field this year?
Well, I think we would all agree we probably have a pretty ticked off Aaron Rodgers. And you just look at, how he's played the last couple of years. Look, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be poised to have a really good season. This is going to be, not that he's not been motivated in the past, but Look, I could see Aaron throwing over 40 touchdown passes, being aggressive with the football, and basically kind of along the lines of what Jeff is saying is going, oh, yeah, like how does that look now? Because I just threw 40 touchdown passes, and you know what? I'm going to do it again in 2021, and now all of a sudden that pick of Jordan Love, then it looks even worse. And oh, by the way, remember we should have taken a wide receiver because that was a need for us. And then remember that season where Devin Funchess, he opted out, and so we didn't have the wide receiver that we signed in free agency. I still went and threw 40 touchdowns. I do think there is an element of that. I think it could happen. He's still that good of a player. And that's why this feels weird. And when he says the word wanted, yeah, we've seen Joe Montana play somewhere else. We've seen Peyton Manning do it. Brady's doing it. But those guys didn't feel like they had as much good football still ahead of them as it feels like Aaron Rodgers has right now.
Real quick.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Aaron Rodgers has a lot more football to play with. Like I said, last year, he redeemed himself. It may be they want, instead of trying to get rid of Aaron Rodgers, maybe they should try to help him out, give him a little better supporting cast, because right now he's working with a bunch of average wide receivers. So maybe they can try and pick up Antonio Brown. That would be an excellent duo. Aaron Rodgers and Antonio Brown, they can definitely, if they made it to the NFC Championship game last year, just imagine what will happen if they pick up Antonio Brown. So maybe they should start looking at his supporting cast versus trying to get rid of Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers had a great year last year. So I don't understand this. I don't understand this. So let's continue.
Lewis, in your view, is there enough around him? Go ahead.
Yeah, what I was going to say was, look, I think what you saw last year, though, is you saw a transition in terms of how Matt LaFleur really sees the Green Bay offense going forward. It's not going to be the same quarterback-centric offense that it was under Mike McCarthy, where Aaron is just carrying the team on his back. You saw that transition start to happen. This is becoming an Aaron Jones type of team. This is becoming a Sean McVay type of offense, meaning it's going to run through the running game, and obviously the quarterback's going to play a huge part in it. And I think that's kind of going to ease the transition a little bit to Jordan Love. That's not to say that Aaron's not going to be motivated. Of course, he's not just going to lay down and say, "Here, Jordan, it's your job." But I think the transition's already in place by virtue of the way they're trying to run this offense, and the fact that they traded up to draft Jordan Love. So eventually they're going to try and move on from him. That doesn't mean that Aaron isn't going to maybe have one of his, some very good seasons here over the next 1 to 2 years. But I think the writing is on the wall, and he's acknowledging that, although he's still going to go out there and perform like the All-Pro that